Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of NOS4A2. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, first and foremost, we had the whole situation with Wayne. Obviously, as the episode, we see throughout the episode, he's dreaming of Manx. And it's so interesting because, well, I mean, at first I was like, but then, because for a second I forgot, obviously we know Charlie can influence people's dreams, but this is the first time, like I said, we've never seen him go this hard after a kid, because which, God, that sounds so fucking weird saying that line, but the thing is, because every other kid he's ever taken before, it's always been well, obviously it's been an easier situation for him, and then they're inside the Wraith, it's kind of he's already able to kind of give them his spiel and everything about Christmas Land, so it's easy to really it's advantageous for him in most of those situations. It's kind of he's got home court field advantage, but it's Wayne ends up being the exception. But the thing I was thinking about is because he visited Bing in his dream. It was Daniel, but also the winking moon and everything. So, but because I think for Wayne, obviously, I mean, it's just like every other kid. Charlie presents oh, I can bring you happiness. Something Wayne's been denied his entire life was Christmas-related stuff. Obviously, considering everything that went down, of course, Lou and Vic would be super against. Especially Vic would be super against anything Christmas-related. So it's a situation of of course, a kid who's probably been denied that, his life, kind of seeing potentially other people being able to enjoy it, the happiness of it all. Of course, you want that, and then even on top of that, the mess that his family is. It doesn't seem like it's always been this way. It seems maybe it has, but it's just gotten worse and worse and worse over the years. But along with all of this, obviously, it's well, they need to take Wayne away, and they're going to take him to Chris's, lake cabin. So he's going to be staying with them. Well, all of them are going to be staying, and obviously there's a whole thing of because Wayne kind of has a little contention towards Vic, because it's his mom hasn't always been the best person. She literally set the house on fire. To him, it just seems like my mom's weird, nuts, and crazy. Once again, he's an 8-year-old kid, so. And for him, it's obviously the person he cares about most is kind of Lou, which is actually interesting in the grand scheme of things. Once again, just everything being very circular in that because Vic was literally the same way. All she cared about, she sided more with her dad and more things than her mom. She had a lot of issues with her mom. She didn't recognize a lot of the issues in her dad until she grew up. So it's the parallels they create between that. And yes, that's my favorite word. I love using the word parallels because I use it every recording. I don't know why. I need to stop doing that. But the fact of the matter is, I just thought that was kind of just an interesting thing that they've set that up, and I think that's going to be an overarching theme of just kind of we've seen kind of the mess that your family was in season 1, and now it's almost sadly history's kind of repeating itself. Granted, your situation's very different from theirs, but it's still just kind of, it's almost sad that it's almost written so much in your own DNA that it's almost maybe it's fate, maybe it's destiny for things that can sadly play out this way. It's it makes you wonder, and that's the whole thing about changing. It's is it possible, or is the cards already stacked against you type of situation? I just think it's just kind of a fascinating aspect to this whole situation. So, but Tabitha is reluctant to let Maggie go because Maggie's I need to be there in case, my tiles warned me when Charlie was coming for Vic before, so I need to go. But for her, it's you barely survived your last seizure. I don't want anything to happen to you. I love you, And Maggie's promising not to do anything stupid. They roll up at Chris's place. And this is the interesting thing. This kind of gives us clear context. They have not met Wayne. It seems like Linda nor Chris have actually met Wayne in the 8 years because she's kept her distance. She hasn't been back to Haverhill at all in that time. Why would she? Too many bad memories. So for her, it's a thing of they haven't seen him before. So this is the first time they're meeting. Hell, this is the first time Chris is meeting Lou. So it's just kind of interesting. It's just oh, so I think that's kind of a neat aspect to that whole situation as well. I even thought it was kind of adorable, Wayne couldn't hook the worm on the line, and Lou was like, "Yeah." He was trying to, no, we could do this, just make it quick, and he couldn't do it either. And so Chris just gave him a different bait, and it was just kind of like a fake bait. He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "The bass like this," but he's like, "Yeah, thanks." It's just like this little awkward situation. I love it. But I thought it was kind of an interesting conversation because I obviously seeing them like that for Vic, she's like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to be normal. But then like Maggie's like, they're not normal. Literally, Lou dresses up like a stormtrooper. She's a grown person doing that. The fact of the matter is, your son, he's cooler than all of us put together. And your dad's kind of got this creepy horror thing going on with this cabin and everything. So it's like not like they're the most normal people either. And for the fact of the matter is, it's just because for her, it's like she doesn't, for, Vic, she doesn't know how to just be there with all of that, just because she wants to, but she has a lot of baggage. And I think, and it was interesting because for Maggie, she's like, for so long, all she thought she had was her tiles. Because despite everything, all the people that have come and gone in her life, at the end of the day, she always had her tiles, and she felt like that's all she was going to have until she met Tabitha. She's like, I fell in love, and it came down to just me choosing to be with her. But then like you had Vic being like, did you though? Because you're here with your tiles instead of being with her. So, and it almost in Vic's mind, it's almost like, despite what you're saying, you're here right now with your tiles, like not with the woman you love. So it's like that's what makes her probably even more so feel like, am I just doomed? Like, is it just gonna? Because for her, it's like she's like, I might not have had my bridge for these 8 years, but she's like, my head's always been somewhere else, which is like the metaphor there is so good because obviously like her bridge is a manifestation of what's inside her head. So for her to literally, there's layers to that. That's just like, that's a really deep line when you break that down, understanding that her bridge has been elsewhere because she hasn't been able to access it, and her head is literally her bridge. And it's just interesting when you break that down like that. But obviously it's the whole thing with Vic trying to make things better with Lou. She's just trying to, but for him it's like, I want to adopt. He's like, I want to adopt Wayne because if something did happen to you or you went off again, like I would lose custody of him because I don't have like parental like rights for him. So it's like if something were to happen to you, I need to be there for him. And she's like, yeah, totally, because she's like, he needs you, and she's like, he also needs his mother too. But it's like for Lou, it's like, I get it, like. But he's like, you're not in this whole battle by yourself because you literally set our house on fire. You left in the middle of the night. You went on a suicide mission against Charlie. The fact of the matter is, if I get it, if you want to, but you need to deal with your shit first because you're not in this alone. You're just using your battle against Charlie. Yes, you got a lot of trauma, but you're not the only one traumatized by all of this. You're just the only one using it as an excuse, to kind of bail out on your kid and me and everything. So. And this whole thing led to an interesting conversation with Chris as well. Because Chris is basically saying, don't make the mistake. Don't be like me. Because she's like, I think Lou's going to leave me. And it's like, well, the fact is, he's here. And she's like, and Chris is like, he doesn't have to be. And she's like, yeah, he does. She's like, no, he doesn't. Because, like, Chris is looking at his own situation. Like, what did he do? He up and kind of left her. Like, remember, like, Vic was kind of like, no, Dad didn't leave me. He left you. He didn't. It's like, no, Vic, he left both of us. Like, the fact of the matter is, he's like, my biggest mistake, and he's like, I've made a lot of mistakes, is not choosing between staying and leaving. He was always in that in-between of like one foot. He always kind of had one foot out the door type of situation. And he always tried to have it both ways of like, I'm leaving, but I'm going to keep Vic around. I'm going to keep my foot here in the family, like, situation. But it's like, don't be me. Stay. Be here. That's all you have to do. If you want Lou to go away, if you don't want Lou, fine, cut him loose. But if you want him, fight for him. And then afterwards she jumps in the water with them and kind of has fun with Lou and Wayne, and it was kind of nice to kind of have that family moment again and everything. And then on top of all of that, there's the whole situation of obviously like they're setting up bombs and everything so that they can bury in the front. Like obviously they need to can't let the cops know what they're up to, because obviously the whole thing is Wayne can't tell anyone about the Charlie Mank situation just because it's like, well, no one's going to believe you, because it's like if you bring up the Charlie thing, it's like it's just going to make her look crazy. It's going to make them all look crazy. It doesn't matter if you have 3 people saying it. They'll just, I mean, literally she knows what it's like to tell the truth because she was locked up in a, kind of a psych hold for a while last season because she told the truth about Charlie. So it's like, you know, in the grand scheme of things, like, she's trying not to go down that route because, like, we'll all be labeled certified, you know, if we, like, say anything about that. So, but I like that obviously this episode is her trying to repair a lot of relationships while also, like, so much, it's so interesting because it's like, while she's trying to repair relationships, like, Wayne is kind of slowly being pulled away from her. Especially because Charlie keeps visiting him and be like, oh, Christmas land. The fact of the matter is, you don't have love where you are in Colorado and stuff. Like, he's like, yeah, he's just sad that he's tired of his parents being so messed up and them being so, like, messed up and sad. And for him, it also comes down to the thing of, like, you know, he ends up talking about this later on, that he's tired of, like, he's like, you suck, you left, and the fact that his mom, like, you're the reason why dad's so sad, you know, and, you know, even she has to eventually go, she's like, you're right, but the fact of the matter is, I'm trying to change, it's just going to take some time, you know, because she found the candy cane on him, and he ends up telling Charlie exactly where they are. Granted, Vic and them didn't really realize that at the time, but nevertheless. But then, like, at the other side of the episode, you have Tabitha, like, looking into Bing, like, finding his aliases, and goes to his job. And she's like, yeah, he hasn't showed up since last week. Wait, all the gas is going. It's like, oh, he's locked and loaded. So it's like, we got to find him. So luckily, Tabitha finds him. And the moment she's outside Bing's house, she sees him. And then she's like, all right, calling for backup. It's like, ETA, 20 minutes. You're like, oh, please don't, Tabitha. Please. She puts on a mask. I was like, no. I was like, oh, please don't, Tabitha. And even, you know, obviously, you know, Maggie was getting scared. So she turns to her tiles, which I even love, like, Lou, because it's his first time seeing it. Like, that's wild, dude. That's wild. But the fact of the matter is, it's like, where is it's Tabitha? Okay, and pulls it out, and it's like House of Sleep, and it's like, what's that about? Obviously, it's about Bing. It's like Tabitha and her tried to find the House of Sleep, but never could. But like Vic is like, I can't, and it's like, I'm gonna go. You stay here, Lou, and look after Wayne. Literally Tabitha, oh, it was a sucky situation, dude. I was scared for her. I was like, oh, come on. I mean, she came in prepared because she made sure to wear a mask because she wouldn't catch, you know, the gas. But I was scared for her, but luckily she takes down Bing. But I'm like, we already know Charlie's here, and lo and behold, because I was wondering if he had already gone after Wayne himself, but it's like, no, he was there. He attacks Tabitha. Luckily, he only went for the shoulder. I was so scared because I thought he was going for a headshot. I thought we effed up situate. I thought we were going a little Negan-ish, except with like a hammer and but luckily Tabitha got off the headshot. It was almost interesting too because like when Charlie gets up, because I'm not too surprised, I was like, I figured out what to stop him. But then he pulls the bullet out and he's almost laughing because I think that's the first time anything's happened like that. Because we've never seen him actually get, like, the only thing we've seen him kind of recover from his injuries before, like being from the autopsy and stuff like that, when he was cut open. Obviously he was taping himself together, but eventually all those wounds healed. But this is the first time we've seen him kind of like, once again, he is pretty much indestructible unless that Wraith is dead. The Wraith needs to die because that's the only thing that keeps life pumping into him. So as long as it's still alive and kicking, it's going to keep that harder pounding. So, but like I said, it even caught him by off guard because it seemed like he was laughing like, huh, interesting. I thought I was dead, you know? So, but I'm surprised he let Tabitha live because I was like, oh, dude, because the moment they got there, I was like, dude, they didn't get there in time. I was like, oh, please don't tell me Tabitha. It's like, oh, she's alive. I was like, why'd you just leave her? I guess it's just kind of like, well, they know where we are, no point. Because like, because obviously this hits a sore spot for Maggie because she even said it herself. She's like, we know what Charlie does to cops that get in his way. So obviously, you know, the whole Joe situation. But luckily they got there in time and she was still alive. So it's like, okay. But like I said, why? I guess just because it's like too much trouble. She's probably already called backup. It's too much attention. We don't need that. So, but it's also blows up his House of Sleep. So that means like he can't ever go back. Bing can't ever go back there again. So it's gonna make things. I'm wondering because Charlie's making this whole thing about 10 kids, but I'm thinking more so than anything, if he can get Wayne, I'm sure he's gonna kick Bing to the curb. He just needs Bing long enough to get Wayne. Maybe he needs more kids, but obviously we've seen what he did to his last associate. I think when it's all said and done, I mean, people you can easily manipulate. Like Bing don't come around too often, so I'm sure, you know, he's gonna enjoy that. But I'm like, you know, Charlie's going to enjoy having him around because it's like so easy to manipulate and use. But the question becomes like, how, like, I don't think he's ever going to keep up that end of the deal. Because, like, no other adult has ever gone inside. I mean, technically, his dead wife is. But, you know, once again, we don't know if that's actually her and she's just stuck perpetually looking like that, or is she kind of like a ghost, a memory, like what her whole deal is inside of Christmas Land. We don't really know the ins and outs of that. But obviously Wayne comes and tells Lou, like, I think I did a bad thing, and he lets Vic know what's up, and Vic is like racing back there. It's like, make sure that Wayne doesn't get inside that car. So it's like, obviously, you know, he's on his way, so it's gonna be interesting. Cause like I think it's a thing of like, cause part of me is like, you know, he killed your biological dad, right? That's the kind of like real kick in the teeth about it. But at the same time, it's like, for him, it's like, I've met Charlie. It's like, he's not the bad guy everyone says he is. He's such a good guy. He's trying to help me. Mom, you're the bad guy. And once again, he's an 8-year-old kid. He's hurt. He doesn't really understand everything. Plus, that whole Christmas Land thing is so intoxicating. It's about getting inside a kid's head and making them kind of like get caught up in this haze of like, you know, like, oh, all the wonderment and the fun you can have. Like, obviously it's meant to be like that. So it's not like you can have reasoning when it comes to that, you know? So either way, I'm very interested to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and good